Kia ora koutou, ko Kara Daly toku ingoa. I'm a facilitator with the Playcentre Aotearoa Professional Learning and Development Team, the PLD team, and I've created a video to help demystify internal evaluation for you, to help you figure out how to make internal evaluation purposeful, meaningful, and easy for your center. So in the next 12 minutes, hopefully we can make that happen. Grab a cuppa if you need to, otherwise, let's go. Before we begin, I'd just like to clear up terminology. Internal evaluation, internal review, self-review, they're all names for the same thing. In 2006, the Ministry of Education published Na Arohai Hai Whai Hua self-review guidelines for early childhood education, and that's where the term self-review came into use within Playcentre. 10 years later, ERO has published Effective Internal Evaluation for Improvement. This is the most recent guidelines that we're using. So today we recommend that you use internal evaluation as your terminology, but if you're still using self-review, internal review, it's all the same thing. We'll start with the whakatoki, kia whakatomuri te haere whakamua, which means I walk backwards into the future with my eyes fixed on the past. I think this relates to evaluation because with evaluation, we look to the past and the present in order to guide our decisions for the future. The Education Review Office talks of internal evaluation to advance equity and excellence. When we talk about evaluation within Playcentre, there's not only internal evaluation but external evaluation as well. Internal evaluation is the review carried out by members within our Playcentre, so our current families reviewing our current processes and ways of doing. External evaluation is feedback given from people outside of our Playcentre. Usually this is the Education Review Office, ERO, could be the Ministry of Education, your local primary schools, your community vibe, the word on the street about what Playcentre is and the feedback you're getting from those outside of your Playcentre. These processes are complementary, so we tell ERO when they come to visit about all the fantastic things we've been doing and changing and growing within our center. They acknowledge the positive and give us some next steps to consider as well. So it goes back and forth, internal and external evaluation. Okay, so straight into internal evaluation. When we talk about internal evaluation, there are 3 levels. Starting from the bottom of our pyramid, we have Emergent Evaluation, also known as Spontaneous Review, Regular Evaluation, Planned or Scheduled Review, and at the top of the pyramid, Strategic Evaluation, or in-depth review. You may not be aware of it, but your center is probably already doing emergent evaluation pretty well. As parents in Kayako, we know what's best for our tamariki, and we're pretty quick at making changes for them. The challenge many play centers have is that we sometimes forget to document it. For example, you might have a couple of parents with young babies who are carrying them most of the session, and after chatting with them, you realize they're worried about putting their babies down on the floor because they're concerned that the older kids might run them over or that their babies will get hurt. So as a session, you have a chat and you decide to maybe shift the position of some furniture and work with your bigger kids so that they're involved with the babies and looking after them, setting up activities to involve them and take care of them. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be long. It's thinking about what could be working better and how are we going to make it happen. So some triggers for emergent evaluation, it could be a response to something that's not going as well as it could. It could be a new idea that a parent or a child has, or it could be an issue that's picked up during your regular evaluation. Again, you're doing emergent evaluation all the time. It's remembering to record it. Aim for at least twice a term would be my suggestion. A poster is a good way to do it, a poster up on the wall or at the front of your internal evaluation folder. It doesn't have to be long. Keep your documentation short and succinct. A couple minutes is all you need to record an emergent evaluation. Regular evaluation is the middle tier of the evaluation pyramid. Again, your center is probably already doing this well and recording it. It includes all of the regular reviewing, checking, and planning, such as your daily session evaluations, any termly evaluation or planning that you do around children's learning, policy review, center assurance checks completed by your center support worker, health and safety, playground checks, anything else that is monitored on a regular planned schedule comes into regular evaluation. Again, you're probably keeping copies of it, but it might be worth making sure all of your documentation is in one handy, easy to find spot. Another thing with regular evaluation is that it links to both strategic and emergent evaluation, and that you might see issues or opportunities or trends that would make good emergent or strategic evaluation focuses. Strategic evaluation is the top tier in the pyramid. Remember that emergent and regular evaluation make up 80% of internal evaluation, and that strategic evaluation is the icing on the cake. It adds depth and complexity to your evaluative processes. Hopefully it's related to the vision, your values, strategic goals, the big picture thinking within your center. It will involve most of your center members, and it takes time, between a term and a year, for a full cycle to be completed. So if you are going to put all this time and energy into a topic, make sure it's a topic that your families want to do, and it's something that you will get buy-in. In my travels to Playcentre, I've noticed that many centers have a term theme or a focus for children's learning that spreads across a term or 2 terms even. If your center is using these, I'd encourage you to use that as your strategic evaluation. It's everything you need it to be. It's child-focused. You're talking about changes for children and your families across that time in Playcentre with what you're doing with your kids. So strands or learning outcomes of Te Whāriki, Te Ao Māori values, learning dispositions, they all make great topics for strategic evaluation. So one example of this might be, how well do we support our children to be problem solvers at Playcentre? The top tier of the pyramid is strategic evaluation. Remember that emergent and regular evaluation make up the other 80%, so this is the icing on the cake. It takes centers beyond day-to-day operations to exciting possibilities and opportunities. It is big picture thinking beyond what we have now to what could be. The cycle that we're looking at here has 5 stages: noticing, investigating, collaborative sense-making, prioritizing to take action, and monitoring and evaluating impact. This is from ERO's Effective Internal Evaluation for Improvement. Hard copies were sent to your center early in 2017, and it's available online as well. Let's start at the beginning with noticing. This is where you choose your focus topic. It could be a goal from your strategic plan, an opportunity or issue arising from regular evaluation. It could stem from termly planning for children, so an idea or an emerging interest for a group of children. Or it could be feedback from ERO's next steps from your last review. Hopefully it links with something significant that's been happening in your center rather than a random idea. When choosing your topic, make sure that children or whānau are at the center of your focus. So rather than focus on processes, focus on people. Often welcoming processes is an idea that comes up to review. So rather than say, we're going to review our welcoming processes, you could frame your question as, how well do we welcome and transition children and their whānau to Playcentre? So that's just sort of swapping the lens rather than being on the process to being on the people. What are we doing for our people? How can we improve for our people? The next stage is investigating. With investigating, we often say look in, look out, and look to the experts. So look in, what are we doing already and how effective is it? What other ideas do we have? Look out, what are other play centers doing? Other ECEs, kohanga reo, home-based care, what other ideas are out there in the early childhood sector? And look to the experts. What does Te Whāriki say, the Ministry of Education, ERO, recent research? Gathering lots of ideas, that's the purpose of investigating. There's no right or wrong at this stage, it's just what are the possibilities. The third stage is collaborative sense-making. Basically, this just means making sense of all the information and ideas you've gathered. So just because an idea is the right choice for a play center down the road doesn't mean it's the best choice for your center and your families. The next stage is prioritizing to take action. Who, what, when, where, how is it going to happen? And then actually putting your plans into action. Let's do this. The final stage is monitoring and evaluating the impact. So as you're implementing and after you're implemented, how well did it go? What else could you do? What else could you try? What next? This may lead into a future evaluation topic as well. And of course, then comes the question, what do we have to document? All centers should have an internal evaluation, aka self-review folder, or you may have more than one in your center by now. You'll probably also want to have an electronic folder on Office 365 or wherever your center keeps its online documents. As you go, keep evidence of your journey. So how did you choose the topic that you've chosen? What were some of the ideas that you came up with during the investigation stage? What are the changes you've implemented? And evidence of the journey as well. And then a final summary at the end, a reflective summary. So some of the ways you can document are screenshots of online discussions. Lots of groups use Facebook or other online forums for discussion. So just take a screenshot of some of that discussion as evidence. Any brainstorm posters you have up on the wall or during meetings. Photos, videos, learning stories, quotes from children in whānau, and then again a summary of reflection at the end. These are all ways that you can document your journey. It doesn't just have to be pages and pages of writing. So common questions that come up, isn't it a lot of work? Who cares if we document? Who's actually going to look at this in the future? So yes, it can be extra work, but I encourage you to work smart. So reuse as much as you can to show the journey. You're already taking photos, you're already doing daily session evaluations, you're writing learning stories, magic moments, taking meeting minutes. Reuse these things. They show your journey. They show what change looks like for your kids. So just take a copy and add it to the folder. You don't have to do extra for that. Not all documentation has to be on paper either. So if you have tech-savvy families, you can use video photo montages as a way of recording your journey. Who is it for? First and foremost, I would aim it at future families. So for future families at your center, it's good for them to have an understanding of why you chose this topic. What did you investigate? What are some of the ideas you came up with? Why did you make the changes that you made? And when they're in the same journey years down the track, they can look back and rather than reinvent the wheel, those ideas are already there and it helps them understand the changes that have been made. It's also for ERO and the ministry when they come to visit. So as a licensed center, it is a requirement that we document our internal evaluation within our center. In Playcentre, we're pretty good at getting things done verbally. We know our kids, we know our families, we know what works. But for some reason, ERO and the ministry tend not to take our word for it. So we do need documented evidence, video, documentation, and paper, and hard copies, electronic copies of things that they can see. So that brings us to the end of a quick guide to internal evaluation. I've also created some templates for Emergent and Strategic Evaluation, which I'll upload to a shared Playcentre space, so keep an eye out for those. Again, you don't have to use them, but they're available if you'd like to. If you have further questions, contact your center support worker, a facilitator from the Playcentre Aotearoa Professional Learning and Development Team, other center members in your cluster, or have a look at the national Facebook groups. They might be able to help as well. Ngā mihi nui.